Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. All right, today also is Thursday, which means it is the last day for our series. 4 days now, because Friday's Q&A. So today we're going to wrap up this whole idea of high vibing. So I've got an extra juicy show for you today. Strongly suggest notes. If you don't take your own notes, secondarily, you know what you can do? You can get our show notes, which are all done and transcribed for you. Not exactly what I say, but from my notes. Lindsay does them, and she does such an amazing job with it. All you have to do is go to savingdinner.com. We'll put a little pop-up for you. I know it's annoying, but just do it anyway. And the phone number's there. Everything's there. So you're going to start getting our text messages, which you're going to want. All you have to do is confirm it when we send the first text. And then secondarily, you're also going to get on our newsletter. And then you will get today's show notes in tomorrow's email. That's a deal. And I'll tell you, we have a lot of people who really depend on them because there's some good stuff in there. And today is going to be juicy. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff. So, want to get down to it? Because today we're talking about fueling high vibes, and how we get to the place of even being able to fuel them. I'm going to take you a little bit on my journey with my stuff, and I'm also going to be sharing some just some things that I've just pulled out of general that I've found really has helped me in the past, and I believe is going to help you too. Because you know what? We're all the same. You know, we're all human beings. We're wired pretty much the same. We've had different experiences and different lives and all of that. Yes, but this will work for everyone. And I promise you that, because, you know, I've done this myself in my life over the years. This is a lot of work, but I will tell you, I would not trade it for anything at all. So let's talk about this a little bit. Remember that Einstein said everything in life is vibration. Everything in life is vibration. And Tesla even said the secrets of the universe are all wrapped up around this. Now that's, not a direct quote, but Nikola Tesla was, of course, this masterful genius who said that it's all about vibration and frequency. So we have to see that, this is quantum physics that we're talking about, because every single thing on this planet has a vibration, from your eyelashes down to your toenails, to the house that you live in, to your dog's collar. It's just everything. Nothing is without vibration. There's no such thing as zero vibes. You could be getting really, really low, but it can be measured and proven. We've seen that. And if you really want to dig into this, go to YouTube and watch how sand on a vibration plate, as the frequency goes up, the intricacy of the design changes, and it's just magnificent. It's like it goes from fairly basic, on the low vibe, to this gorgeous design, and it keeps changing and getting more intricate and more beautiful. And to me, that's God telling us, see, this is what it's all about, y'all. This is it. And I don't know about you, but that's where I want to live. I want to be part of that very high vibe, beautiful, intricate design, because that is how we're created. We just need to tap into that. That's amazing. But when we understand that, when we acknowledge that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, that's when things start to click. And that's when we start to see this marvelous discovery of quantum physics and how it fits into where we are right now, and how we can use this to become the very best versions of ourselves, because we're called to do so. That's how we live on purpose and for purpose, by the way. So if you've ever seen pessimism or felt it yourself, pessimism, depression, sadness, those are definitely a vibe, definitely. But it's a very low vibe. Anyone? You know that. It is. And the fruit of low vibing is always low energy. Low energy, anger, jealousy, bitterness, guilt, blame, and even shame. It's extraordinarily low vibe. And you can see, I mean, if you look for, there's charts forever, everywhere, to show you what this looks like, to show you what these low vibes look like. And from going from here to there, colors even have vibe. Food has vibes. They all have vibes. They're all been measured. They have instruments that can actually measure this stuff. I find that so fascinating. And but we've got to look at, like, if we are in this place where we're not way up here where bliss is, by the way, we're way down here where shame is at the end. Think about that. Bliss at the top, and on the bottom is shame. Shame. How do we get out of that darkness? Well, first we have to acknowledge it and just say, yeah, there it is, and make a new choice and a new decision to elevate our vibes. And I mean, that sounds pretty obvious, right? But have you ever really thought about how often we live in just this perpetual, I don't know what's wrong. It's just, I feel, I don't even know. It's mostly because we haven't checked in with ourselves. So I have some check-ins for you that I want to help show you how to start to getting to this place of checking in with yourself, so you can start consciously raising your vibe. It's critical, absolutely crucial. So let's start talking about it. And because this, I swear to you, this changed my life. This upended everything. And I would say in some form or another, it's been going on for maybe 20 years, but especially when I turned 60, everything really took on a different meaning. And I had to really get down to the brass tacks and the core of who I was. And, you know, that's kind of a rough thing to do. It's quite a journey and a voyage, shall we say, to the center of the earth, but so well worth it. So the first thing was I had to make the connection between food and mood. Definitely. I found that my mood and my food were absolutely 100% connected, and there was no way to just say, oh, just this once, this is not going to be blah, 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 blah. But my mood would actually be affected by it. And I thought, well, you know, I'm just saying, oh, that I shouldn't have done that, so that's why. Well, that was part of it. That's the psychological part of it. But the secondary part of it is that chemically, what was going on inside of my body was just going bonkers. If I was going to get myself out of this whole Hashimoto's autoimmune cascade of symptoms, I had to start making those connections. Now, this happened years and years ago, probably in 2000, I guess 15 is really when I said, enough is enough. You know, we all hit a tipping point where we've just said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just not. Pull the plug, kick it down the cliff, light it on fire, just stop. And that's exactly what this was all about. And I figured it out. 100% I figured it out. And when I figured it out, it just made me go, okay, here we go. This is the whole thing. Because you know, the thing is, food doesn't care what you think about it. Food isn't political. It doesn't have a religion. Food it isn't nosy and getting into your business and wanting to know what you're doing. It doesn't give a hoot about you, to be perfectly honest. The only reason food exists is to fuel you, right? It's nutrition, or it's not. It's inflammation. That's the whole thing. So you eat low vibe food, you're going to get a low vibe result, and your mood's going to go right down with it. So it's going to do what it does. And every bite is either going to feed you heart, mind, body, and soul, or it's going to inflame you heart, mind, body, and soul. And isn't it funny that comfort food is usually food that just lights your whole body on fire, and your brain, and your heart, and your soul, and everything else. And it just leaves this cloud over everything. It ruins the lens of your life. The thing is that we have to look at is that food is never neutral. Never. Food has an agenda. It is there to give your body information to do something. It's either going to fill you up and give you the right information and help you to function better, or it's going to go in and start lighting fires all over the place. It's an arsonist, right? That's it. There's one or two. That is it. That is it. It's this or it's that. Just keep that in mind. And don't think that there's any such thing as a neutral food. There's just not. That's it. Number two is check in with yourself. I say this, doesn't it sound dumb? What do you mean check in with myself? My phone's kind of crazy. What do you mean check in with yourself? I mean, can you imagine? That's like, okay, yeah, well, here I am. But here's the deal. We have to ask ourselves, does this feel good? Is this great? Is this a good feeling for me? Or is this something that makes me feel like crap? Am I doing things that are lighting me up? Or am I doing things, thinking thoughts, etc., that are taking me down? Because if we're not checking in with ourselves and just let what happen, happen, then we're going to get bonked, man. It's like, here comes one 2x4 after the other. And I'm not talking cosmic 2x4 that makes you go, whoa, yes, I get it. I'm talking the kind of 2x4s that take you down, an emotional wallet. We've all experienced it. Nobody's immune. But when we check in with ourselves and say, you know what, how am I doing? How am I doing? How do I feel? That's where your journal really comes in, man. Do a brain dump on that. And does this feel good? What makes me feel good? When we can do this, we're getting in touch with who we are. And so many times we don't do this. And when we don't do it, we can't feel. How do you feel something if you've denied yourself feeling? And it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel crappy about something. You just don't have to live there. Living there is a choice. Feeling it is wise because that's how we process it. But then it's time for the next thing. What can I do now? What's next for me? But to do that, we got to check in first, period. Number, let's see. Here we are. Let's turn the page. Number 3, check in with your results. Listen, can I tell you? This is where I came up with this idea that for some folks, losing weight or inflammation or whatever is just this cha-cha because it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And that's how it is at the very beginning when you're starting something new and you're trying to get going. But if it's a constant and it's a lifestyle, let's check in with results and see why we're not getting the results we want in our lives. And I'm not just talking weight loss. I'm talking about getting rid of pain and inflammation. I'm talking about living a more vibrant life. I'm talking about living the life that you want to design and create for yourself. If the results aren't there, there's a reason. There's a reason. And you have to ask yourself, am I creating the results for my life that I want? Is this what I want? Is this what I'm seeking? Is this it? Come on. We don't do that. Or do we? Are we getting the results? Oftentimes what I hear is just the short-term thinking. This is why I think journaling is so important. And it's just like, I don't know what's going on. Well, you don't know what's going on because you haven't analyzed it. Sit down with yourself. Check in. Check in with how you're feeling. Check in with your results. Take a look-see. This is not condemnation. This is not saying, look how icky and horrible you are. This is saying, you want vibrancy? You got to take a peek. It's like pretending there's money in your bank account and bouncing checks all over town because you don't want to look. The abundance that you seek is also seeking you. The health that you seek is also seeking you. Make way for it. Make way for it. It's just that simple. It really is. I promise. It sounds woo-woo. It's not. It's your reticular activating system. It's in you, created by God himself, so that you can start picking up on all this high vibe yumminess. That's what I want for you. And then number 4 is check in with your bod. Your body Your body is telling you stuff all the time. Every single day, it's telling you something. You got pain? There's a reason. You're exhausted? What was your sleep like last night? Your digestion off? What'd you eat? You got skin issues? Oh, rosacea. Yeah, the dairy was showing up on my face. Been there, done that. You're getting terrible sleep every night? Start digging. You are the detective for your body to figure out what's going on. When we act helpless and hapless, and we go to the doctor and say, I don't know, you're basically saying, whatever you think, doc, go ahead and pull out the little pad and put me on 18 different medications, right? Because I'm not willing to take a look myself. I'm handing it over to you. MD does not stand for medical deity. And if you're not going to take the time to know yourself, to check in with your body, and to start figuring this out, you're not going to be able to be in charge of your own life. If I had gone to an endocrinologist and said, what the heck is up? I'd probably still be 240 pounds, and I'd probably have no eyebrows and be one miserable woman. No, thank you. I opted out of that and said, I'm going to get really serious about this. I did my research and I did the work. And I'll tell you what, every drop of sweat, every piece of research that I read, every time I had to say no to something that I really wanted to eat, every time I did this, I was saying yes to myself. I was checking in with my body, and my body was saying, I'm in pain, I'm inflamed, I'm upset. And underneath all of this, though, you know what the foundational thing about this is that's so incredible? Even so, your body's always looking for the right information so that it can start to heal and correct itself. That's all. What if we decided that we are going to start doing something about it? Well, the Cleveland Clinic did reports that meditation can actually help you to release endorphins, which will help you to lose the pain. How about that? There are things that are free and available at our fingertips. We're not using them because we're handing our power over to someone else. Now, I'm not putting doctors down. Doctors, thank God for doctors, right? Thank God for them. A doctor saved my son's life. He had a torsion, if you know what that is. His testicle had twisted at 7 years old. And had we just not done anything about it, it could have killed him. He had emergency surgery. I've told that story before, and I'll tell it again sometime, but I'm not going to now. But let me just say this. This is not a put down on medical doctors. This is an empowering message for you. What are you going to do with your own health? This is your container. You get to keep it for life. So definitely, you have to be the person who is taking good care of your life as best you can. And then we also have to seek the medical attention that we possibly need. So keep that in mind. Number 5 is to check in with your home. Now, my story goes way back, but it also has impacted me as I've grown. And it's not, I don't think it's a coincidence that 20 years ago, I finally got rid of the clutter and got my house in order and also had a business and started growing that it changed my life. I don't think that's a coincidence. And, I say start with making your bed and get rid of your clutter. And yes, go shine your sink, just like Fly Lady says, because those are habits that say, I'm worth the time. I'm worth the time to have this beautiful environment. And I'm 100% worth it. I always imagine too, that when I'm cleaning up and when I'm, putting things away and tidying up even, that I'm creating space. When I'm getting those clothes out of my closet, I am creating space. And I'm also giving myself the yes to more please of whatever. And I'm not talking clothes necessarily, but when I, dump old habits, when I dump old whatevers that no longer serve, there's then an opportunity for more please. Yes, there is. And that is just absolutely 100% empowering. And when we release this stuff, we're releasing a lot of garbage inside with the stuff. The stuff is very representative of what's going on. So next up is I've got 10 things to fuel this high vibe that you want. These things that I just gave you, these 5 things that I just gave you, are so that you can be put into the awareness of how to then go and become the high vibe woman you want to become. So you ready? Here's the fuel. Number 1 is your food. It's got to be high vibe all the way. Sorry, it just does. Every single time I cheat or go out to a restaurant or whatever, I always feel like crap afterwards. I just do. It's terrible. But you can feel better than that. Always, you can. It's just the choices that you make. When, I'm chopping, I made this fabulous purple cabbage slaw. You probably saw it. Isn't it beautiful? I'll tell you, that stuff was amazing. And every bite of it, I just felt like it was feeding me heart, mind, body, and soul. Our food is high vibe. Take it from me. You're a dinner diva. I know this for a fact. Number 2 is gratitude. This is fast food for your soul. Do you know how quickly you can flip something? Because gratitude and anger, they can't coexist. We dump it. We dump the anger. We dump the ick. We dump the stuff. When we bring in the gratitude, it's super high vibe. Live in with gratitude. Start your day every day with gratitude. We do this in the Take Back Your Life journal. That's the first thing. 1, 2, 3. Put down 3 gratitudes every single day. And you know what happens when you first start doing that? You're starting going, my husband, my kids, my dog, But then we start getting into things like, the fact that I have a bathroom with running water is pretty, special. We can get there. We can get there if only we start looking at gratitude in a whole different way. Number 3 is meditation and breath work. I'll tell you, it just changes chemically, changes your body. Even the Cleveland Clinic's, attuned to all of this. You can go to PubMed and read studies about it. It is that impactful, and it will bring you to the place of high vibe. It's really lovely. After a number of years of meditating, I can finally just sit and drop in. It's turning that lens inward and just, loving yourself for who you are right now. We've got to accept ourselves. And this meditation practice helps us to do that. Number 4 is it's either forgiveness or radical acceptance. But bitterness has no place in a vibrant woman's life, does it? If you're going to live high vibe, where do you think bitterness fits on that scale of bliss being at the top? Doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. So I have found when forgiveness is tough, that radical acceptance of this is the way it is helpful. Doesn't change it. Doesn't make it go away. Doesn't give it, extra sparkles or razzle dazzle or anything like that. But it does help a whole heck of a lot because we've just accepted it, and therefore we can be done with it. Case closed. And number 5 is hydration. Good grief. Hello. Let's get on to that hydration. There's studies that prove that your brain functions better when you're hydrated. When you're dehydrated, your brain dehydrates too, and it shrinks. I don't want you to have a shrinking brain. We need all the brain power that we can get collectively as women, don't we? We need all of that. So hydrating every single day. Don't forget to add your fiber. Don't forget to add your electrolytes, because this is the thing that makes the world go round and changes from just merely rinsing out those kidneys to honestly driving that hydration into the cell. Critical. And number 6 is movement. Movement. Man, I just did 7 miles. I told you that. I'm going to brag about that. Told Mark, hey, 7 miles. Usually it's 2, 3, 7 today. Yeah, man. I'm flex, and I did my weights, did all of it. But you know what else is an important part of this equation besides just working out and getting it done and whatever? Get outside. Take your dog for a walk and really start appreciating and looking at the gorgeous scenery that's all around you. Where you live and where I live are 2 different things, but you have the ability to even appreciate a dandelion making its way up through the sidewalk. Take the time to do that. It will feed your soul. Sleep. This is honoring your body and the circadian rhythm. This night owl business, come on. You're better than that. And when you understand how your body works, you're not going to get the repair work that you need done between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is when all of this magic happens. You deprive your body of that stuff when you do. Yeah, you'll still get REM sleep, you'll still whatever, but you won't get that healing. That's when the body's doing all that magical stuff. Honor it. Get to bed a little bit earlier. Okay, pinkies up. All right. And then here we go is love wholeheartedly is number 8. I want to tell you my Mary Morrissey story. If you know who Mary Morrissey is, she's an amazing author. She's a pastor. She's got an amazing story. She tells a story about how when she was a young woman that the doctor said, sorry, you're going to die. And she had this notion, a pastor had intervened on her part and prayed for her and helped to heal her kidney. And it's just an incredible story. I don't tell it nearly as well as Mary, but I was in a small group with Mary and we had this big wine tasting and everything. It was pretty amazing. It was in Malibu and it was quite a deal. It was probably 2016, maybe 17. And I was dating Mark at the time. And and we were sitting together right next to dinner and we were just chit-chatting. And she said to me, she asked me, are you married? What's going on? And I said, no, but I do have a boyfriend, but we'll see how that all goes. I'm kind of keeping him at arm's length. And she looked at me. This is the truth. She had her fork. It was full. She put it down and she looked at me and she put her hands on her hips and she said, and why on earth would you do that? And I said, you don't know my history. I said, my gosh, all this garbage that I've been to, all this blah, 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 blah. And she said, I don't need the details. She said, but you have to make a decision for yourself. If you're going to risk and love, you're going to have to do it wholeheartedly, or you'll never have what you want. You'll be alone, and you'll always go through one boyfriend after the other, and nobody's going to be good enough. So you accept him and love him wholeheartedly, or let him go. Decide what you want. Do you think that was an accident that I got to sit next to Mary Morrissey that day to tell me this, to love wholeheartedly? It's at that minute, I felt like Paul on the road to Damascus. The scales fell from my eyes and I saw for the first time that I wasn't loving wholeheartedly. I was loving very conditionally. I was loving this much when I had this much. I wasn't loving with my full heart. I was loving so that if he does this, then I'll do that. If he does this, then I'll do that. I was loving like a 7th grader. I didn't love fully. And Mary Morrissey let me know it's not worth it unless you risk it all. That's scary. But guess what? That's super high vibe. And boy, can I just tell you how much I love my husband? That was worth it. And that almost made me cry. Number 9 is generosity. We all have plenty to give. Do you know that your words can change someone's life? You can be generous and loving with your words, can't you? I'm not looking at your wallet. I'm looking at you. What do you have to say to somebody? Not just, hey, have a nice day, whatever. Just maybe give them an extra long look in their eye and say, you have a really beautiful smile. To that cashier who has to go home to a bunch of crying kids and maybe a cranky husband. That will make her day. What if we were generous like that? What if we saw everybody as the soul that they are? What if we loved that much? It's time for us to do that. And it's also time for us to be a little more generous with our time. That one extra minute that you took with the cashier, she's going to carry that with her. She's going to carry that a long, long time. that extra minute, that extra 10 minutes, that half an hour that you give yourself, that's going to feed yourself. Self-care isn't luxury and indulgence and all of that. Self-care is feeding and caring for your soul. And it's super high vibe. And last but not least, high vibe thoughts. Feed your mind. Read books. Read things. Don't get stuck on TV. My gosh, I can't watch any more war. Instead, you know what I'm doing? I'm saying prayers for people. I'm saying thanks for all those people who've done things to help. I'm saying thank you for World Kitchen, who's gone to Ukraine and is feeding the troops there. I'm saying thank you to Leo DiCaprio or DiCaprio. I don't even know. I don't know all these. $10 million. I'm saying thank you and prayers for all these people who are willing to do things for people they've never met. We can love more. We can give more. We can be those women, and we can have these thoughts and this love, and we have the ability. Each one of us do. So I'm going to leave you with this. We're all vibrational beings. It's how we were created. Not a single soul is without. Your choice is what you're going to do with those vibes. They're high, low, maybe somewhere in between. It's time to become aware. It's time to own your body, own your heart, mind, body, and soul. Own your voice. Become the woman of your very own dreams. You can, simply by raising your vibes and being aware of who you are. Pinky's up is right, Nancy. I love you and appreciate you, by the way, if you haven't heard that from me lately. And I see each and every one of you. And I can't even tell you how appreciative I am. Speaking of, appreciation is part of gratitude. So make sure that you're doing some of that today. Okay? Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow for Q&A. Peace be with you.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.